Hello, and welcome to the Den of the Monster Ox. I was recently going through the comment section of my What Remains of Edith Finch review, and one of the comments read, "I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure 6 out of 5 isn't allowed." And that got me thinking that maybe I should do a video going over how I designed my ranking system and my reasonings behind it all. So, with some Destiny 2 footage playing in the background, let's get into it. So, rankings 1 through 5 are what I use for the most part. 3 being average, not good, not bad. 4 being impressed. 5 being very well done. 2, not impressed. 1, not very well done. So you have a spectrum there. But, as you may very well know, there are certain aspects of a game that can make up for the failings of another. For example, you can have a protagonist that is so good and so interesting that you kind of overlook how mediocre the antagonist is. Or you can have a story that the way that it's put together and organized is so bad that an otherwise good antagonist just feels awful. So I wanted to have the 0 and the 6 to kind of make up for that. So you have a 6 out of 5, you get that extra point that can then make up for a 2 or a 1 in another area to bring it up to average. Same thing for 0, it'll pull the average down overall. And so from there, we go into my 4 sections. I've got my protagonist, my antagonist, the environmental storytelling, and the story development. What am I looking for in each of these areas? For the protagonist, are they unique? Are they interesting? Or are they just super cliche? How's their transformation over the course of the game? A good example of a protagonist would be Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. She starts out as a character that has a very good motivation to want to prove herself, to grow, and then has the drive to try to understand her past because no one really knew what her past was to try to tell her what her past was. So she's unique and not, while it is a hero's journey, it's very well disguised. A bad example of, I guess I shouldn't say a good example or a bad example. A example of a bad protagonist is your Guardian in Destiny 2. The one that you see me playing as in the background. Your Guardian can easily be replaced in the story by literally any other Guardian played by any other player in terms of the narrative. There's no real character growth at all. So, that's kind of what I'm looking for there. Antagonists. What's their motive is a huge, huge thing. I guess I should also say obstacles, because we've already had an instance of obstacles being a more accurate description. Are they super cliche? Again. So an example of a good antagonist, actually both of the examples I'll give for this, both come out of Mass Effect. So a example of a good antagonist would be the Reapers. I still remember loading up Mass Effect 3 for the very first time and watching that opening cutscene of the Reapers descending on Earth and just laying absolute waste to the city. And honestly thinking, how are we going to beat these guys? Because they had spent the last 3 games doing, or 2 games, I guess, doing such an amazing job of developing these antagonists. that you want to beat them, but they're so powerful and so strong that you're not sure how. An example of a bad antagonist comes out of Mass Effect Andromeda with the Ket. You can't just throw a group of people and say, we are evil, oh, look at us, and have that be a good antagonist. Those who've played the game will kind of know where I'm going with that. For environmental storytelling, a huge bit of this is how much do they use your environment to provide the context clues you need to provide answers, instead of the game using narrators or conversation to communicate with the player. Another aspect of this is the music. How well do they use the music to tell to communicate the impact of a moment to the character? An example of good environmental storytelling is What Remains of Edith Finch. Everything almost is in the environment. You have to take what you're told and then look around you to see the connections to help put the puzzle pieces together. An example of bad environmental storytelling, hot take, is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It is not a bad game. I absolutely love KOTOR. But none of the story is told in its environment at all. All of it is done through conversations between the characters. All of it is done through your interactions with those around you. Even the major plot reveal at, I'd say about 3/4 of the way through the game, is given through a face reveal and a conversation. It's not in the environment at all. So that's why I use it as a bad example. Love the game. I wish they used the environment a little bit better. Story development. How is the story organized? How is the pacing? An example of good story development, let's go back to Mass Effect. The pacing on it is absolutely amazing. Let's actually go into the example of a bad story development with StarCraft 2, the StarCraft 2 campaign, where it's a good campaign overall, but it feels like it takes place over a couple of days, so certain relationships that would require time to form or heal just don't feel like they have that time to form. Unlike Mass Effect, where it feels like you've taken the time with all of these characters. Each character has had time to have conversations with other crewmates, and the rivalries feel like they've had time and justifiable reasons to form. So those are the kinds of things that I'm looking for. Protagonist, antagonist, environmental storytelling, story development. The other question that I wanted to go through really quick is, what are my plans for the channel? Goal for 2022 is to put out a story review on the first and third Saturday of every month this year. Months that have a fifth Saturday will get a video like this one, where I just kind of discuss topics off the top of my head. I don't really have a script. I've got some ideas kind of put out on a Google Doc, and I just kind of talk. Usually it'll probably be things that come up from the comments section in my videos or from the Discord. which, talking about the Discord, I'm working on socials this year. Working on the YouTube channel here, hence the video. I've got a Twitter and Instagram, which I don't know how much I'll be putting up there. We'll see how things go. That'll probably be more in development as we go, as the channel kind of builds. And we have Twitch. So let's talk about Twitch. I am streaming. For now, it'll be twice a week, probably. Usually it'll be Tuesdays and Fridays are my current plan, but that'll always depend because of my work schedule and the wife's work schedule, so we'll see how that ends up going. All of the links to all my socials, including the Twitch channel, will be down in the description. And I think that's everything I had for today. If you have anything that you would like to talk to me about, come join me on Twitch and ask your questions in the chat. I tried my best to answer any questions that I see there. And yeah, thank you for joining me here on this 5th Saturday, and I will see you next time in the den.